And I will share the agenda. There we go.
Thank you, Pauline. All right, so we'll call the meeting to order at 11:32 of the Personnel Finance Committee for CROG. Um, it's personnel finance, not personal finance, right?
Right,
We made that
personnel
correction.
finance. We made that correction.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry, I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry.
I know. I don't
It,
blame you. I
as
don't blame
someone who does that all the time, so you're just making me feel better about myself.
you.
All right, so I hope folks had a chance to review the minutes from January 14th, 2026. Can I entertain a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Thank you,
second that
Wendy.
motion.
Thank you, John. All in favor, say
Uh,
aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, abstentions. Chair voted aye. Passes unanimously. Okay, so our main order of business today, and I don't think this should take too long, but Matt and I had a chance to discuss sort of next steps on his evaluation process. And I believe it was 2 years ago that he had done when I think it was Mayor Moran that chaired the committee, right, Matt?
Yes.
Had done a more comprehensive, annual performance evaluation. And we thought that this was a good time to do another one, um, given that uh, Matt's had some time since the last strategic planning of 2023 or 2024, and gone through that multi-year process. And then we've had a chance last month to again do strategic planning with the policy board. Um, and that now would be the right time to do another evaluation and potentially do, Matt has suggested maybe a sort of anyone's familiar with evaluations, do somewhat of a 360 scope analysis, uh, and then go from there to determine next steps on any adjustments to Matt's contract and compensation. Um, Matt, I don't know if you want to just chime in on anything else regarding that process, anything I missed.
Yeah, thank you much. Thank you so much, Steve, for that very good overview and for agreeing to serve as chair here. And good to see you all. Raul, great to see you as well. Thanks for joining us today. So let me quickly share my screen if I can.
Hold on. We
Oh,
gotta make you co-host.
okay.
Uh,
Or is it easier for you to just share the form, Pauline? What's faster?
I can share it.
Okay. I want to go over the form quickly. So as Steve said, and veteran committee members like John and Wendy and Raul will recall this. You developed this form a couple of years ago. I would say it can be a challenge to do something more robust every single year. And Steve, you probably have experienced this as a town manager, and Wendy perhaps as a council chair, because oftentimes folks will get burned out on the process, right? When you do it every single year, it feels like as soon as you finish it,
hmm
you're starting off again. But this is a pretty simple form that we developed a couple years ago that I think worked relatively well. First of all, we ask what progress I made on my goals. And I will say the goals for the current year, they're a little bit lengthy, a little bit like a laundry list, in part because I think every director wanted to see something related to their department in my list of goals. I would recommend for the future that we try to boil those down a little bit more to goals that involve the board, to a greater degree, like the strategic planning as an example, like the legislative agenda as another example, and less related to discrete projects and CROG operations. But anyhow, in order to answer this question, I think you're going to need to see my self-reflection statement, which I will prepare. So we talk about the progress I've made on the goals, any comments you want to provide there. And then if you could scroll down just a little bit, Pauline, then you would rate my performance. Whoop. Number three. Want to go to number three.
Sorry.
You would rate my performance in these categories, leadership and management, effort and initiative, communication and collaboration, judgment, decision making, financial oversight, and I know that can be a little tough to judge as a board member, but hopefully you feel like you can, and we can provide more information if you need it. And then an understanding of the region's needs, and you can provide comments there as well. And then number 5 would just be an overall assessment. Number 6, suggested goals for the next rating period, and I'm going to give you some recommendations there as part of my reflection statement. I always start off with a bit of a self-evaluation. And then any comments you want to add? So that's the form we developed a couple years ago. I think it worked. I feel like it worked. We asked the personnel committee to complete it, as well as the executive committee, Steve. We did not send it out to the full board. We could talk about that, but as you know, we've got a good sized board, and the executive committee is comprised of 20 towns and potentially 40 members, with the primary and the alternate. I would recommend, especially if we want to do something of a 360 here, we not rush it. We could pretty much take the summer to complete this and then try to wrap it up in the early fall.
I think that sounds like a good game plan. I agree. I think keeping it to the executive committee is fine. I defer to the executive committee to make that call or recommendation. And I guess just briefing the policy board, but I don't sense that anyone would disagree with that. And I think the form is good in that it's not too long, and that we want to get as much feedback as we can. But not too short, where I think it gives the ability to actually give a proper evaluation. While it's on my mind, the financial oversight, whatever category that is, I mean, I would just highlight, and I know this is somewhat Pauline's wheelhouse, but the budget and the audit, I think dealing with the federal funding challenges and being proactive in that manner, I think CROG was, right away taking the pulse and seeing what impacts would be. So I would highlight those sort of things of what you've done.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So the form, Matt, your goals, is there a section on that form, and forgive me, I don't remember, that addresses the goals that were achieved, not achieved, to comment on those? Or will the goals be attached so we can look at those as we go through the questionnaire? Is that part of the plan?
Yeah, so good question, Wendy. So I will prepare a reflection statement, and I'll provide you with a status report on all of the goals. Again, It's a lengthy list for the current year. I would recommend we shorten it in future years. But this question only asks you to comment on the goals in total, not for each specific goal.
Okay. But the comment section would allow you to elaborate on any of the goals that you want to call out.
Yes.
Okay. So that would just be, if that's clear, that's fine.
Okay. So in terms of next steps, Steve, what I would recommend, if meeting before the policy board meeting works for this group, I could prepare my self-reflection statement over the next few weeks. I am traveling to a conference. I've got a couple things scheduled for the first 2 weeks of June, but we could meet in advance of the next policy board meeting. And I could, that would be June 24th. I could walk you through, my self-reflection. And we could do the same thing with the executive committee at its scheduled meeting on July 8th. And then following that, we would send it out to the Personnel and Finance Committee as well as the Executive Committee. And I know there's some overlap. Some of you are members of both. Actually, all of you might be members of both. And, we would give everyone roughly 3 weeks to complete it. maybe 4.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, I think 3 is fair. I think you put it out too long
Yeah.
and then people are just going to
Nobody
forget
will do
about
that.
it. But
Right, right.
we
And
Another
you
can,
question.
probably are
Sorry.
going to have to chase. Oh, I'm sorry, Wendy.
No. I'm sorry. I feel like it's very loose here. No, I was going to ask, you're saying we would walk through your reflection statement, this group, and then with the executive session? Does it make sense to just maybe send it out to us to review on our own and then just do it one time? Or I mean, I have the time, I can attend, but I was just curious if it makes sense to go over it twice, if we would add value before it went to the executive board. The question for Steve and John and Raw. I don't really care. I'm just putting it out there.
yeah, I don't feel strongly either way. I think it's
Okay.
fine if we hold it because it's such a short time. I think this works in terms of doing it right before
Yeah.
um,
Okay.
the policy meeting, and then we'll get a first set of eyes on it, and then be ready for the larger executive committee in July.
Yeah. And then Matt would have time if he wanted to tweak it or something
Yeah, if
after our
we have any,
comments.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
Okay.
yeah, good point.
One other thing I forgot to add is, Steve, this committee will prepare a composite review. So with Pauline's assistance, you'll compile all the responses, and prepare a memo, and we can share the one that Tony prepared a couple years ago that's reflective of the feedback, as opposed to me getting 20 separate reviews.
Yes, yep. It sounds good. Any other comments or questions, concerns?
I don't know if
For
John
me,
or Raul have some thoughts they might want to add since they've been through this before.
honestly, I think it's worked fine in the past. Um, I like the structure, pretty easy to understand and go through. And easy is good for CROG because a lot of the selectmen and mayors are so busy, and the members don't have a lot of time. So I think is getting the information and getting them to answer it, and don't make it look too overwhelming where they're gonna say, "I'm not even gonna bother filling this out." So I think it has to be
Yep.
even even simpler than what it is. I don't think you can make it, but I think it has to be this way. It's pretty simple, straightforward.
Thanks for that input. Yep. John, anything?
I'm good, Steve. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now, I did want to just for this group note, because Matt had mentioned it to me that Matt's contract is up in February, I believe. Is it February or March?
February
February.
28th.
Yeah. So I think we should just all be keeping that in mind as we go throughout this process. And I know Matt's interested in I believe is it a 5-year extension that's part of the contract, or is that just what you would be looking for?
Yes, there is and I'll share the contract with you all. There's an option for 2 5-year renewals.
2 5-year renewals. Okay.
So John hooked me up for a 15-year term, if depending on how things go, right, John?
Yeah, we wanted him as long as we had Lyle. We like having the extended service of one individual, particularly
Here,
one
here.
who does a good job.
Absolutely. Okay. If nothing else regarding this topic, we can move on to other business. If anyone has anything.
I do not.
Perfect. If not, then we can adjourn. I don't think we need a motion to adjourn, right? Can't I just
Correct.
adjourn the meeting as the
Correct.
chair?
Yeah,
You can just
procedurally you
adjourn.
do. Yeah.
Okay,
Well, I mean,
perfect.
can we stay on here or do we have to re-up?
Nope, this is the same, same Zoom link.
Perfect.
So-
Okay. Well, thank you all for taking the time. I appreciate it. I know everyone's busy, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
Yeah, 12.
That's great.
Thank you
Take
all
care.
so
Thanks
much.
all.
Thank you,
Really
Bye.
Steve.
appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.